This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 3-inch.
On this episode, we interview Jeff Nucera, Weird Al superfan, trivia master, and longtime close personal friends of Al malperson.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You're listening to Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, and we're super excited to welcome our very special guest, Jeff Nucera. Jeff, how's it going?
Hi, how's it going with you?
It's going great. Thanks for calling in with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I think it's important to mention that many people may know you by a different name.
This is true. I am Monica the Wonder Dog.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to reveal that on the air, so I'm glad that you were willing to open up with us.
Yeah, I also know you as UHJeff.
Oh yes, that's also a nickname I have.
From way back, remember alt.music.Weird Al?
I sure do.
And the IRC channels? Yeah, we go way back, Jeff.
We sure do.
What's an IRC channel?
We'll explain that to you, youngin' one day.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the first time I met you in person, Dave Rossi. Was it maybe Red Bank?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you too. I believe it was Red Bank in probably 1996.
Yeah.
Because you were right now you're on the LA area, but you were originally from the East Coast where Ethan and I are. And you came to I remember seeing you at a lot of shows in probably New Jersey and maybe Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I grew up in Philadelphia. I went to college at Temple, and I went to about 1,000 shows in 96 and 97. There were just, that tour went everywhere, up and down the coast, I feel like, and I followed them as much as I could.
That's amazing. So I guess, for me, I don't think I met you until the Star Ceremony, Jeff. I think that was our first time meeting.
Yeah, I think you're right. I obviously was very aware of you.
And I of you.
And I'm glad we finally got to meet.
Yes, of course. I remember I met you because you were getting people to sign a release form for a documentary you're making. And I signed it, and I didn't know who you were. And then someone was like, "Oh, did you sign the thing from UHJeff?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was UHJeff."
That was me. Yes.
Yes.
I am doing a documentary, as you mentioned.
Yeah. What can you tell us about that?
It's maybe very exciting. It doesn't yet have an official title, but it is a documentary about a very special group of fans, of Weird Al fans, who are burlesque dancers in a troupe called Tight and Nerdy, and they
Amazing.
they're pretty great, and they perform to music by Weird Al, and it is a very fun show, and they are very hardcore fans, and they have the same kind of story I think that a lot of us have, which, we grew up as kind of outsiders and found our family through Weird Al, found our people, our tribe.
It's such an accurate description. I mean, that's why Dave and I wanted to do this podcast, because, Weird Al brings so much joy to us, but also so many others, that it's just a great shared experience and something that is endlessly interesting.
I agree. And some of my best friends I've met through sort of the Weird Al fandom. I'm still very good friends with Adriana Yukovic, who I met at Alcon 98. She lives in LA. She lives 3 blocks away from me here in LA.
Wow.
And we hang out all the time, and it's pretty great. She's like my date to every Weird Al concert out here. It's pretty fun.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and you mentioned, and I'm glad you did, Alcon 98. So how did you kind of find out about Alcon 98 and getting out there, and how was that? I mean, that was kind of probably the first big real collection of Weird Al fans all in one spot. It was just such an amazing kind of experience, as for fans like us coming in, and you're kind of getting to meet other fans for the first time. So how did you kind of what was your kind of experience at Alcon 98?
I found out about it, I feel like Amanda Cohen had set up a website, very bare bones website for 1998, because that's all we had back
Right.
then. And I feel like it was somewhere in Alt Music Weird Al, someone must have posted about it or something. And, and it was, before you could book tickets on the internet, or before I knew how to book tickets on the internet,
Yeah, I think you had to send away for tickets through the mail.
Yeah, and I still have
Amanda,
my tickets, but I feel like even the airline tickets, I had to like figure out how to book those on my own.
Go through a travel agent,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
It was so different back then. But yeah, I just remember walking into that place with my buddy from high school, another Jeff, Big Jeff, because he's like 6'5", and he and I bonded over Weird Al in high school, and then he moved to Chicago. So when I was, when Alcon came up, it was like an excuse for me to go visit him and check out the scene, man. And I just remember walking in and thinking, who are these people? And this is amazing. And yeah, and then.
Yeah, and then you're right. And then, like, years later, I mean, how many years later, 20, 30 years later, you're still friends with probably almost everybody in
Yeah,
that room.
I mean, Adriana and I went to dinner and celebrated our 20-year friendship anniversary last summer because we knew the date because it was Alcon.
Right. Hey, so how many people were at Alcon? As someone who's never been, and, I wasn't the right age to go. Was it thousands of people? Was it hundreds of people? Tens of people?
I feel like it was 200
Yeah.
people, I think, was
200,
how many tickets
250
that,
maybe, yeah.
that Amanda had sold. So yeah, it was a we filled up a ballroom, and there was definitely a lot to do, and there was a lot of people to meet. It was a really good convention.
Yeah, Amanda put on.
One of my favorite.
It was really fun, and Bermuda was the guest of honor. And did a great speech that led into the other secret guest of honor, which was, of course, Al himself.
It's amazing.
Who surprised everyone, including Amanda, by showing up.
That was amazing. It's just that was such an amazing moment. Sorry. I kind of going back. I guess you mentioned that your first tour or concert was in the Bad Hair Tour, right, in 1996. Do you remember? Well, I'm sure you do, but do you remember where that was and how you kind of found out that Al did concerts and what kind of led you to that?
I
concert?
knew that Al had toured in. I sort of became like a super fan. I would say in like '88, right before Even Worse came out, I think, and. I remember just desperately like wanting to go see him live, and he was supposed to perform in Wildwood, New Jersey, on the Off the Deep End tour, and somehow it was like there was like an ad in the paper, and then somehow the show got canceled for whatever reason. I'm not even sure Al ever even knew about it, but the show never happened, and I was just like, ever since then, I was like, I have to go see this guy perform somewhere somehow. And through the Bermuda's website was kind of up and running by '96, so I was very excited about the tour dates and went to see him at Hershey, Pennsylvania, Hershey Park, Hershey, Pennsylvania, Hershey Park, and it was everything I dreamed of and more. It was 2 shows, and
wow.
It was very exciting.
So the first time you saw him, you saw 2 shows in a row?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah.
See, it took me years to have that epiphany that, hey, if he's doing 2 shows, I can go to both of them.
Yeah, of course. We had seats for one of them, but during the first show, the second show, people were lining up for the second show, so I had to kind of like stand back for the second show, but I watched the whole thing.
That's amazing. And when did it become a good idea to start tour chasing and hitting as many shows as you could?
When did it become a good idea? I'm not sure.
To you, I mean, did you start off with that in mind, or
I did? There were like a few shows like right in a row, and I was like, well, I might as well just go to these. It was Hershey Park, and then it was, maybe the I don't have the tour dates in front of me, but there was I think King of Prussia had a show.
So really, you're saying you came out of the womb walking.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was like I'd gone to like 2 or 3 shows that summer, and then I feel like maybe in '97 is when I had started to get. I was working in radio at the time, and they had a bunch of tickets that like they were being used as giveaways, and they were like, "Oh, do you want a pair here? You know, pair there, go for it." And then I by then become friendly with Lynette, who was the tour manager back then, and she was like, "Oh, come on over." And for Bermuda also offering up tickets here and there, you know. So I was just like, "There's no reason for me to not come to these shows."
Right. And when did you start your memorabilia collection?
I had been collecting stuff since the late '80s. I became a close personal friend of Al. I sent him my $8 and got a membership card and all the good stuff. And I would, you know, go to the library and find articles and you know, print them out or whatever, and just you know, I started collecting pretty much right away.
Remember, Ethan and I had this conversation not that long ago. Do you remember what the first thing you would consider as an actual item that you bought for the collection, rather than just bought a CD to listen to Al, you know, or cassette or whatever? But the first item you actually purchased for the collection itself.
I think, let's see, my first purchase for the collection, interesting question. Probably, God, I mean, let's see. I guess the complete Al doesn't count because I desperately wanted to see it. A friend of mine had it on VHS from when it aired on Showtime in '85, and so we would watch it over and over again. And when I saw like that there was a longer version on VHS, I was like, "What is that?" And I knew it immediately. So maybe that.
Okay, yeah, that's
I'll count
good.
that.
That's a good answer. Yeah. And you've over the years have amassed a very impressive collection, including a lot of really cool, unique items that other people don't
Yes,
have.
I believe I have the my collection pales in comparison to yours and Bermuda's and Al's, but it's up there. Along maybe Kenneth as well. I feel like Kenneth Greenup has a bigger collection than maybe all of us put together. But yeah, I was, you know, after I moved to LA, I sort of fell in with the wrong crowd and got hired as Weird Al's mail boy. I sort the fan mail.
Sounds scandalous.
I sort the fan mail for close personal friends of Al, and started doing that in like the year 2000, maybe 2001.
Oh wow!
And so, you know, I was able to, over the years, you know, Al here and there would be cleaning out his garage or whatever, and he was doing a big cleanup a few years back and invited me over and said, "Hey, if you want anything, come on over before it goes to Goodwill." And I was like,
Oh my God!
Are you kidding me? I am coming over to ransack the place. And
Please tell me you didn't leave anything for Goodwill.
I filled my Prius and regretted that I didn't like rent out.
I was going to say, how big of a U-Haul truck did you
certainly should have. I mean, there were some pretty cool items in there. I think my favorite that I got was the Komodo phone from Al TV.
Oh, amazing!
And you know, it still works. But I remember seeing it on the ground, and I was looking at it, and it took a second for me to sort of. I was like, "What is that?" And Al goes, "You know what that is." And I was like, I do, and I need it." And everything I was grabbing, I was like, "Are you sure I can take this? Like, are you?" He's like, "No, go take it." I'm like,
Was there
okay.
anything you wanted that Al was like, actually, yeah, I'm going to keep that?
I found in a box. I found a picture of Al with Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney, I think, and I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "I have been looking for this for years, and I'm taking it." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fair."
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I guess we need to back up a little bit. How did you become mailboy? What was the situation in which that was able to transpire?
I became mail boy. Jay Levy called me and asked if I would become the mail boy. I had moved out to LA in '99, and Al was aware that I was here. I think I saw him at one of the Running with Scissors concerts right before I moved, and told him, and he's like, "Oh, good luck." And I had, taken Bermuda to lunch, so like everyone was sort of aware that I was here. And the person who had been sorting the mail was leaving. I don't remember where she went or who she was because it was a million years ago. But Jay Levy called and said, "Hey, both Bermuda and Al seem to trust you, and so if you'd like to take over, please do." And I was like, "Oh God, yes, 100% yes."
And so, how much mail is there? I'm sure
Well,
less
mail-
nowadays.
There's less nowadays. Back then, when I started, all the merch still went through the PO box, so I would have to clean that box out, a couple times a week,
Wow.
and kind of go through and sort the checks out, and fax over orders to the merch house and all that stuff. It was all before you could order online, and once you could order shirts and merch online, the mail kind of dwindled. But I mean, there's still a lot comes in. I would say each month, probably one of those U.S. mail buckets gets filled up.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have to clean out that
Oh,
box
it's a
a
lot,
couple
yeah.
times a month, and it's a lot of like you'd expect, a lot of little kids writing in, asking for autographs or just saying
Mhm.
hi, and parents writing in to say that their kids love Al and that they love Al, and and sometimes you get some really cool letters from people who just talk about how Al inspired them or cheered them up or got them through a really tough time, and
Mhm.
it's powerful and emotional sometimes. I mean, I've certainly had a few letters make me cry,
Wow.
which is great, and it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
I get to open up a box of love, any time I pick up the mail, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great that Al still offers that, because I mean there are ways that you can kind of you can tweet to Al, or you can post on his Facebook, and he sometimes he'll see that kind of stuff. But if you really want to send him something personal, you can't kind of just publicly put that out there. So to be able to put that in print somewhere and send it to him and know he's going to see it is really special.
Yeah, and I think the fans get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of it when I'll open a letter that has some like fan art in it that's kind of cool, and I drop it off at his house, and then like a week later he's tweeting about it, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun to see how he's still very involved with it, and he really, I think, loves getting those letters.
That's amazing. Have you seen like a celebrity write Al through the close personal friends of Al?
I have not seen any celebrities yet.
Okay.
Although, wait, who did I just see? Yeah, I don't know if either of you remember this, but there was an article in Ben is Dead, which was a zine in the '90s. That
I do vaguely remember that. I think I have that
Yeah, I'm sure you do, and it was
somewhere.
like a really cool, very weird article with Al that was done by like I think teen girls, and one of those girls very recently wrote to Al and sent him a stuffed pancreas.
Oh my
She
God.
works at the company that makes them, and she's like, "Oh, I thought you'd like this." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, so it's cool to see these lifelong fans who still write to Al, and I recognize their names, and it's like, oh man, that's great.
Yeah, you probably helped several of my orders go through for merchandise back in the late '90s,
Yeah,
early
for 100%
2000s.
for sure. Yes,
Yeah.
I remember those early days. It was like really intense because it was like those orders had to be timely, and you had to like really figure out like who needed stuff, versus like who was just like writing to say hi.
Right.
It's just like you just had to go through it all, at a much faster pace than I can today.
And the one thing that's always stressed when close personal friends of Al comes up is do not send song ideas to Al. How many do you get?
I get less than I used to get.
Okay.
But I think, probably one out of every, 50 letters is a song idea. And it's just, there's a form letter that we send back. And a couple of them try to sneak them through, they don't have return addresses on them. There's just like, here, just use it. You can't even track me, so just use it. It's like, no, I'm not doing any of that.
Now, are any of them, have you read them? Are any of them actually any good?
That they are not. I shouldn't say that. They are.
Yeah.
A lot of them are cute. I mean, a lot of them are written by 8-year-olds,
Right.
With like half an idea and a dream, and I love that. Some of them are a little, aggressive, racist. Some of them. It's like, have you ever met Al? Like, have you ever heard any of his songs? So some of those definitely go back.
Have you ever had any come through where, like, the next year Al comes out with that exact song?
I have not come across this event, luckily.
I was going to ask if you ever had any that you sent back that you then later heard on Dr. Demento.
I have not. That also has not happened yet. I think that people, it's funny because like I said, a lot of them are little kids, but then some of them are sending registered mail, like this is their one shot, and we're gonna get Al to record our song, and I always feel a little bad about sending it back and crushing their dreams.
You mentioned someone sent a stuffed pancreas. What other sort of interesting things have you seen come through?
Someone once sent in a snorkel, a glow-in-the-dark snorkel that Al then signed. And then they, in turn, sent back photos of the signed autographed, glow-in-the-dark snorkel, which is pretty cool.
That's incredible.
I've seen, people send him clothes. When I first started, someone literally just put a stamp on the heel of a shoe and just like dropped it in the mail with like a letter written on the heel, on the sole. And that blew me away. I was like, all right, sure.
Oh, it's incredible. So anyone listening to this this interview, should they write letters or should they not write letters? What is the verdict?
They should absolutely write letters. Why not? Al gets them. I give them to him. And he certainly reads them all. So he, if you're writing and just want an autograph, send a couple of stamps. But if you want to put pen to paper and say some nice things to Al, he will certainly read it.
That's awesome.
And do you have the P.O. box handy?
It is 8033 Sunset Boulevard, PMB 4018, Los Angeles, California. Oh gosh, what is the zip code? Oh no, I'm a fraud, you guys. Oh no.
I don't know my own zip code, let alone.
I'm like,
I'm sure if they put Los Angeles, it'll get there.
yes, it'll get there. Los Angeles, California 90046.
I was just gonna say that.
I've only been doing it for 19 years. Why would I know that?
Oh man.
We're just talking about the Vanity Tour, and a lot about the ridiculously self-indulgent.
Oh, yes, that's my favorite of the Vanity Tours.
Correct. And you have a special attachment to it because you were involved with a lot of the in the pre-show part of it. I don't know how many people know this, but you had a big hand in that VIP Jeopardy.
I did. They asked me to write the Weird Al Jeopardy answers and questions,
Wow.
which was a definite labor of love. as I'm sure you know, you can imagine. Yeah, Jay Levy asked, he called me, one day and asked if I would be open to writing, like 1,200-ish questions for this thing. I was like, oh my God, yeah, this would be amazing. And he literally said to me, I don't think anyone else on the planet could do it except for maybe Bermuda and Dave Rossi.
But you definitely could have called on me for help if you wanted.
Well, I wanted you to be able to play. And at the time, I was like, well, 1,200 questions, like, that's going to be a lot. But I had, like 3 or 4 months to do it. And so
wow.
I was, like, really excited to dive into it. And then it somehow became, they somehow decided that they were going to do 2 full rounds of Jeopardy. They wanted to do the regular Jeopardy and then double Jeopardy.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Each night. And so suddenly it went from like, a handful of questions that they could sort of recycle throughout the tour to we want different questions each night for each round and without any repeats. And I'm like, oh, wait, what? And so suddenly it was 60 questions per night. And they had, when they first announced the tour, there were 60 tour dates. And so I was like, all right, now I'm writing 3,600 questions suddenly. And that became terrifying. And then, of course, they began to add dates every couple of days. Until
everyone's celebrating as they
add
dates, and you're just...
I would wake up every morning and see more tour dates. And I go, no, oh God, no! So it wound up, I wrote 4,620 questions and answers.
Oh my God.
I believe the 2 things. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Like, I loved doing it, even though I had a full-time job at the time and I was not sleeping at all. Secondly, I don't believe that I don't think they ever even tried to do 2 rounds of Jeopardy in a night.
No.
And
I don't remember that.
I was at the first show.
Yeah, they definitely didn't go through even a full round of single Jeopardy. I don't think ever.
No.
So I believe, there's probably about 3,000 questions that never saw the light of day.
So that brings me to my next question. Are we ever going to see a Weird Al Jeopardy app, game, anything?
Kind of like HQ, but very specific, unclear.
I would buy it.
Me too.
Well, hopefully you'd get a lousy copy of the home game.
I did. I certainly got I actually got the game they used on the stage is in my garage.
Amazing.
Yes, and also in my living room a little bit.
And all 4,620 of the questions you have?
I have all the questions that were printed,
okay.
Which, as we have gone over, are about half of those.
Oh, wow.
But thank God I had like Adriana Jugovic helped me out with a bunch of them. My buddy, Dave Bach, and a guy named Eddie Schmidt, who's a Weird Al super fan from back in the 90s, who's also a TV producer now. And, those guys all helped write some of these things for me, with me, so that I didn't actually die.
I would love to do a segment where you ask Dave and I some of these questions, because I actually did compete on the second Apollo show and I won. So
did you win? Nice.
I won.
Nice.
It
how
was
amazing. Did any of the questions stick out to you as exciting?
I mean, I got to watch a lot of the Jeopardies. Anytime I could go early, I went and watched Jeopardy, and I thought they were great questions. They were almost too hard for the random people who got pulled up. I kind of wished that there was a qualifier round or something, so it would be super fans competing rather than just random guy who bought Weird Al VIP.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I was definitely struggling with when you have to write that many questions. Some of them are gonna be impossible.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there was many discussions where I was like, I need to write like a bunch of simple questions, you know, and those were all based on, you know, Al's song lyrics, and that stuff was, you know, I that I would consider easy. But then there were these really obscure mini factoids that it's like, oh, Al once talked about smell-o-vision in this like weird clip I found from, you know, 92, so let's write a question about that. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, I know no one's going to get this, but I can't help it. Like, I'm out of questions.
I got 4,620 of these questions to write. I got to write something.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was emailing with Jay Levy and saying, I just need to get this number up. So like, I'm literally writing questions like, "Eat It" was a parody of which Michael Jackson song?
Right.
I mean, like literally.
Is there any question that sticks out to you as like the hardest question that you wrote?
The hardest question I wrote, I think it's one of my favorites. This is the only Al song to feature the phrase "eat it" as well as the word "fat."
We will get back to you on that one.
Is it fat?
It is not a food song.
Really?
Yes.
I really got to think about this one. But we won't do it on the air because it's just going to be silence of me reciting lyrics in my head.
We'll get back to you on that one.
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Or actually, we'll leave that one to our listeners.
All right, that's fair.
And if any of our listeners know, you know how to get in touch with us. You can reach us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. It's at 2000inch everywhere.
Or just 2000inch.com.
You know what? I think we're going to do, Ethan. We're going to throw in it for whoever can get this question correct. We're going to throw in a sticker for them. Unless Jeff writes in, and then we'll give him 2 stickers.
Whoa.
Yeah. Maybe the first couple people. What if a million people get it?
I've already tweeted the answer.
It hasn't even aired yet. All right.
I win.
Yeah, so, and speaking of that Vanity tour, that was such a unique tour for Al. And so I kind of wanted to know what your take on that tour was. You know, kind of what were your favorite moments in that?
I loved every second of that tour. I'm not going to lie to you. It was so fun to hear those songs live and to see Al in very relaxed on stage and just kind of telling stories and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I love the live shows, the produced slick shows. Those are super fun. But this was like a dream come true. I mean, this was the tour. You know, he had said it. This is the tour the fans have been waiting for, and it was everything that, you know, you ever could have hoped. I had such a blast. You know, he even called me out one night and sort of mocked me for wanting to hear One of Those Days at the Atlantic City show. And that was wild.
Wow.
It was really cool. It was a really fun tour, and you know, I saw, I think, 7 of those shows, maybe 8. And you know, each one so different and so fun, and it was really cool. And I can't wait for this new one to come.
And besides,
God,
obviously,
yeah.
Good Old Days, were there any other songs that you really were happy to hear? Maybe songs you've heard for the first time, or songs you've been wanting to hear for a long time?
I loved hearing Mr. Popeil live. That was fun.
Oh,
Nature's
yeah.
Got Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, UHF.
Yes.
Is of course a favorite of mine.
Why is that?
You know.
Probably for the same reason Dave was excited to hear Velvet Elvis live.
Really? Were you very excited for Elvis?
Yeah,
Velvet For some reason, Elvis? Yeah, and hearing Biggest Ball of Twine again was, you know, it's always great to hear that live.
Yeah. And are you kind of looking forward, what kind of songs are you looking forward to on the Strings Attached tour?
I know that Lisa Popeil is touring with them, and I want to hear Mr. Popeil again.
Yes.
With some like live female background singers and some like lush arrangements with an orchestra. I think that'd be cool. I am secretly holding out hope that that Spy Hard makes it onto the set list.
Yes.
Oh,
It's so
yeah.
orchestral and beautiful, and that'd be a blast to hear live. I don't know. You know, it's sort of I'm excited to hear all these things. What about you? What's your like dream set or dream song, I guess, to hear?
You know, Spy Hard is definitely up there for me because it's always been one of my favorite songs. So getting to hear it live, but with, like you said, with an orchestra would just be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Spy Hard is perfect for this tour, and I really hope that he does pull that out. I'm also looking forward to. I mean, I've heard it before, but just kind of like hearing something like Jurassic Park in like an orchestra type of thing, or The Saga Begins, which would just be amazing, to have a full orchestra mix of that song, or those songs, yeah.
For sure, yeah. Were either of you at the Hollywood Bowl show where you performed with the orchestra?
Yeah, I was at the Hollywood Bowl show, and that's kind of what, that was kind of what I was alluding to, he did a few, he didn't do Jurassic Park there, obviously, but he did like Dare to Be Stupid and White and Nerdy, with kind of like that orchestra background in there.
Yeah, and Amish Paradise, like they were beautiful. I mean, they were gorgeous. They sounded amazing.
If this tour is like anything like that show, it's just going to be absolutely amazing.
Yes, please.
Summer can't get here fast enough. I cannot wait.
For sure. And I'm excited too because I don't have to write like 5,000 more questions.
Right. They have enough that they could have done Jeopardy again, though.
For sure, yeah.
If it wasn't in your
All
garage.
new questions this time.
Yes.
Jeff, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Such really great insights and fun facts. We definitely want to have you back.
I will happily come back whenever you'll have me.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back
Excellent.
for a segment, and then we'll also have you back to quiz us on some more Weird Al Jeopardy.
Yes,
for sure. Since you have 3,000
love
questions that you can ask us, that we'll have no chance of knowing.
I would literally write questions and think, Dave Rossi will get this. This is for Dave Rossi.
They should have just toured you with the show, Dave, and just have it be Beat Dave.
Yeah, I was actually up there on the stage
yes, for sure.
As a contestant for one of the shows, and I'm proud to say that I'm actually a complete loser. I lost on Jeopardy.
I find that impossible to believe, but okay.
I have a feeling that it might have been rigged a little bit against me, but I'll have to go. We'll have to quiz when we talk to JW. We'll have to ask him about that particular issue, whether or not this was stacked against me or not.
There were he actually told me at the star ceremony when I saw him afterwards. He mentioned that we had 27 categories of questions, and he said to me, I found a category that we never used, that
my God,
we lost it, and I was like, oh God, what is happening? All that work. I forget which category it was because I was too busy screaming on the inside.
Oh, it's incredible. Where can we check you out online?
I am UHJeff on Twitter and the UHJeff on Instagram.
Wonderful. And I'm sure if we follow you there, we'll get all the information when it's ready to come out about the documentary and your travels and trials and tribulations as the Weird Al mailboy.
Yes, there are so many of them. But yeah, I'll definitely be back and talk your ear off about the documentary at some point in 5 to 10 years when it's ready.
We want to thank Jeff again for coming on the show. How great was that? Dave, we liked him so much, we actually already recorded a second segment with him that we'll put out eventually.
Yeah, that's an amazing, fun segment we had with Jeff. Also, a big thank you to all of our listeners. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe. It really means a lot to us. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Stitcher. You can also find us online on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at 2000 Inch. That's the number 2000 and the word inch, INCH. And you can always find us at 2000inch.com. And if you want to get your very own amazing, clean MP3 copy of our theme song and instrumental done by none other than Jim Chemo West. You can find that as one of our perks on contribute.2000inch.com.
And on next week's episode, we talk all about the upcoming Strings Attached tour. Can't wait. We will see you next week.
And that was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 3-inch.
I am Monica the Wonder Dog.